and then don't, oh good, the recording's on, and then don't end up don't end up using it, or it maybe was something that I was going to try to sell things on and that didn't manifest. And so here I spent a lot of money, right? Or something that I didn't end up using. So today I've gone a route of trying to find the most economical options for you guys and to show you what I use and what the portal is built off of and what another professional uses. So I'm going to jump right in. So for everyone, I'm going to just repeat. So this presentation, as you know, is being recorded. I've created a PDF that matches this presentation almost completely, except for when we go live. Of course, a PDF can't be live because we're going to actively work on a website in Google Sites, which is what I use and the gallery uses. And I'll show you the professional that also uses it. And anyway, so write your questions down as we go along, because I went through the timing and I went to the wire. So write down your questions, and so hopefully I'll try to speed along. I'll try not to be too fast, but write down your questions and we'll try to cover them at the end. Okay, so we're not slowing down the process as we go. All right, here, let's go to the PowerPoint. Okay, so I'm going to start the slideshow. So let me get this out of the way too. So I want to thank the Fountain House Gallery and the fact that they have this professional development series. This is the 6th one that they've offered. And I should have edited this. It's the artist website development, really. That's what we're focusing on here. But yeah, so I hope you learn a lot and enjoy the process along the way. So I'm not going to read through this because that's going to take up too much time, but it will be, of course, in the PDF. It explains how much time I have in building websites and my education and my previous stuff, 3 decades of things. So you'll get to read that there. And then I want you to what to consider in your website. And that's really the most important thing along the way, is to consider things up front before you're purchasing a site, and even if it's Google and going free, to consider everything that you want prior to making that first step. Okay, so we're here to look and to learn about what that is. So very first, right, is purpose. What do you want this website to do for you? Right? What is, you're buying into a product or spending time developing a product? What do you want it to do? Right? Do you want to just do you want to introduce yourself as a professional artist, showing your portfolio so that people can come to learn about you and see your art? Right? Or do you want to sell your art in a virtual store? Or maybe it's both. Right? Of course, that's a possibility. The content. So this is also super important, and it goes right back to, I'm sorry, I gotta get this out of the way. All right, so your content goes back to your purpose, right? So everything along the way goes back to your purpose. So you're developing your content that keeps in mind what your purpose is. So if that's that you're doing the portfolio, then all of the pieces and in the way you want to do it whether it's over time or your body of work, current or recent, and how that's presented. That's considering what that is. If you're selling your art, creating a catalog of what the art is, how much it is, what the options are, how it's framed, all of those sorts of things need to be done in advance before you launch. You don't want to launch a store with 3 items. You want to launch your store with enough product that makes it worth your while to spend money to have a storefront, right? Just like any store doesn't want to open up with 3 products because they're not going to earn enough money to pay for the roof of the store, or, having the store side or what. All right, enough about that. Anyway, you don't want to spend money that you're not going to get. Okay, so you can also set up your website so that it shows your work, but it directs your buyers to another source, such as the Fountain House Gallery artsy store. And that's how I currently have my website set up. And Brian Green has his website set up that way. And I can't remember. There might be someone else that's steering their stuff to artsy. But that's a way to not necessarily have a store, but have a way to, as people are attracted to you, have a way for them to go in and buy your art. And even if you sell your work on your website and make it a storefront, it's still important for you to tell your story, because buyers very often buy in to you as an artist, and that's what keeps them coming back too. They buy into your story, they buy into your style of art, and they're going to come back and again and again. As people become collectors, they're going to want to come back and see what Mario is doing over time, what Tara Sue is doing, what George is doing, how each of us as artists are doing and developing our art over time, and what's new and what they want to buy. I just noticed something in the chat, and if anybody in the gallery can pop in and respond to that. I'm not looking at chat as we go along. Just FYI, we can look at that at the end if it's a question. If it's something I need to know about, maybe you can unmute, and if it's the gallery, tell me. Yeah, okay. And then yeah, okay. And then I already said this about considering what you do before you purchase, because even in the purchasing, you're going to want to consider the type of website you purchase, depending on what you want it to do, and the style of things that you want to do. Oh, sorry. Okay, I'm little jittery. Okay, so then we go into the planning, right? So you need to, and it's very important that you plan things out every way, plan for things, how you want it to go along every step of the way. But keep in mind that things will happen. There will be always a shift in their plan. Even think about you as an artist, or as we've watched professional artists, these change as you're doing your drawing or your painting or whatever. You think, oh, geez, I don't like that line or how that is. You change it. And so that's a shift in what you've planned. And I was doing community training in the past, and I talked about shift happening. So shift happens, and everybody laughed, or like, and it didn't even dawn on me that they were thinking shit happens. Well, it does. Shift happens. And yeah, so we just keep that in mind. All right, so whether you're focusing on selling or or your portfolio, you want to have as many images as possible to help tell your story. And my images really don't tell my story. And I have to admit, and I think that goes back to, you know, me and us as we fit into the gallery shows, how the gallery shows define our body of work, and not really us as telling our story as an artist. So I'm going to have to think more about that as I'm cultivating the other work that I decide to sell. And so in the gathering, I said this before, gathering as much materials as possible, and look at websites. Go out there and look at websites, as many as you can, to get inspired and consider what and how you want your website set up. And consider, do you want a custom URL and email, right? Do you want it to be like in mine, terasuesalusso.com? And I have an email that is any questions at terasuesalusso.com. You know, that's part of my branding. Okay. All right. I'm jumping ahead again. You know, part of the brand is having a custom URL. It doesn't have to be your name. It could be about a style of art. It could be something else. I feel like us as artists, it's important to have our name in the URL. I think it's important for us as professionals to have a URL, but it's not necessary. In some cases, you might have to pay for it. And in my case, the system I used, I didn't even have to pay for my URL. So it's something to think about. We'll get to that in the future. And keep in mind the importance of branding. That's a workshop in and of itself. But quickly, when we look at my website, you'll see that this banner that's along the side here is my backdrop to my front page. It's also the backdrop to my website. It's my header to my Instagram. So anytime I use this, so mini branding workshop, I'm using this because, one, it's a piece of my art, but it doesn't define me into any one category as an artist, right? I love this piece because my favorite color blue, so I identify in that, but it does not define me. But it gives that, you know, when you look at that, and that's probably most often, that I'm an artist, right? That when they look at my front page, that it's an artist. Okay, so the last thing you need to consider, really, paid or free? Paid or free? That's the big question, right? Paid or free? This goes back to purpose. Is it a portfolio or a storefront? This highly influences that, right? So if you're telling your story and showing your portfolio, most likely a free option is the best way to go, right? Why pay money when you aren't getting a monetary return, right? If you're showing your stuff but not selling it, free, I mean, I don't know, that's a no-brainer. Free's the way to go. But you might think otherwise. You might want to have something that a bigger, better, I don't know. But okay, so, and if you want a storefront to sell your art, paid might be the way to go, but a free option might also be possible, depending on what you really want that storefront to look like. And that's really doing your surfing through paid platforms and seeing what you can find. I did a lot of looking at stuff for this presentation, and yeah, was not really excited by that outcome. And I don't know if I'm going to talk about that right now. I'm going to come back to that. Okay, so and in my quest to find a free site, there's lots of sites that come up in a free site search, and not one of them was actually free. Google Sites doesn't actually come up as a free site in a site search. I don't know why they're not whatever doing whatever things that they have to do to come up in a search, but every single free site that came up was not a free site. Most often they weren't even free to begin with, and if they were free for 7 days or 14 days. I only found a 7-day free, and it's in my list, so we'll get to that. But we'll get back to that. So let's, so the one and only free was Google Sites. So let's take a deep dive, or maybe not so deep given our time, into Google Sites. So when you log in to sitesgoogle.com, it's going to bring you right to the portfolio page that you see right here. Okay, it's going to bring you right here. Oh, all right. I forgot to say, oh yeah. All right, for here, we're going live. So we're going to go off. All right. How do I stop this? There we go. And we're going to go into the Google Sites, right? So we're right to that page. And so it's exactly what you saw, right? It's going to have these start new sites. It's going to have some options here, including a blank one. And it's going to have a template gallery. And so the gallery.
Tara Sue, sorry, I think we're still looking at your slideshow, or did you switch screens?
Oh, okay. So yeah, let me
Stop sharing and then reshare.
Yep, I'm going to stop and I'm going to restart. Yep, thank you for interrupting me. Okay, so share screen. Let me go. All right, so now do you see the template gallery?
Yep.
Okay, great. So when you log into the Google Sites, it's going to bring you to, well, all right, let me go back here. It's going to bring you here. And that's exactly what you saw on that last slide. And when you click up here, it brings you to the gallery. And they don't have tons of options. But and as far as templates, but each template has lots of ability to customize. So here is the personal of the portfolio. That's what you might think is, oh, that's the one for me. They have work ones, they have small business ones, which if you're selling stuff, you might think, oh, that's the one for me. And they have education. I'd like to say that almost all of these aren't necessarily what you would want for yourself. So I jumped in and let's look at the portfolio one, right? Just because if you were thinking about a portfolio, what you would look like here. And this is what they have with the name, you know, what my name and the photo. And if you swap those out, you know, that could be what you enter in here. But what really turned me off about this is that they have in here this presentation, which I was like, what's that presentation all about? Name of a project. Okay, a project. Well, that might be as an image. That might be where I show a piece of work. And a video. Wow, none of that applies to me. And then what you go down, it's just a repeat of the very same thing. And then their next page, you could do it here and look at it here, or you could look at pages that are over here. You go to about, which would be about me. And that kind of goes into a resume and a reference list, which that also doesn't really fit a portfolio type of thing. And then it goes to, I'm going to jump to it from this way, a project page, because you can navigate things in many different ways. A project page that does have some ability to show some things. Maybe these are all image boxes to show some things that might fit. So if you were doing a project that you wanted to show off your project that you were working on, which I know Fountain House has some projects coming up that maybe they might want to create a project page. And what's nice is that you can have as many Google sites as you want. There's not a restriction on the quantity of sites. So I'm going to go back here to the main thing, and I'm going to jump in, and I got to see. So I started an example, and please excuse any noise in the background right now. I started one just as a play template for what might be something that we did. I didn't do anything with this front page, but I did some examples. I thought, okay, if we were going to do examples of our work, I thought of the animal show, and I put in some animal pictures, and I put just some, this had the ability to have description. It also has the ability to have a heading,
Not for me.
which I'm going to put here. What cutest thing ever. Anyway, you can put a heading, you can put, text underneath it. And then here, I just put images, and I'm going to show you how you put those in as well. So it's super easy to do that sort of thing and define pages. So that template didn't have this examples page. And so the about and the project are all still the same. The only thing I did was add this examples page. And so when you go to pages, you can go right to the bottom and add a page. And so when you do it, you just name the page what you want it to be, and it plugs in a new page. So I'm going to just, oh, excuse me a second. And it throws a new page because I said the background is black. That's what you're seeing. I did a little training, and the trainer had his background is back, and he commented about how it helped his image photographer, helped his images pop off the page. And so I use that for my website, and I'll be showing you that as well. But so I set this a black background, just as an FYI. So then if we're going to insert, remember those slides that had, so this one was the one that had the peacock, and you just click here and you get to upload or select an image, or go to your Google Drive. And oh, I need to back up a second. So if you're doing Google Sites, you have to have a Gmail, and you need to have a Google Drive. And then this is what a Google Drive is, and where you store, all your images and things that you want to have on your website.
Stop.
Yeah. Did you say I needed to stop?
No, I'm sorry. I was talking to my cat.
Okay, no problem. All right, so you don't have to have them on your drive, but I really recommend having them on your drive, because I've uploaded things directly from my computer, and then it was like, okay, I went to grab that photo, and it was like, oh, it's not in my Google Drive. It's somewhere in my computer, and my memory, I couldn't remember where it was at. So, but there's lots of things that you can put in here. So here you can add an image here, you add your header, you add the comment. So, and this one I use a lot, or used a lot in my website, and I'll show you that in a minute. But they have all these different sort of options of plugging in things. And you know what? I jumped ahead way too fast. Okay, so I went to the gallery, my gallery. So they have for the templates, if you're in your blank template, you have the ability to go in and choose different styles. So you see when I clicked on it, it changed the background of that completely. to the simple format, and that changes the text, it changes the color, it changes your background, it changes everything. When I clicked on Aristotle, I don't know if you saw, but it changed the text. I'm going to go to the home screen so you can see more about how it changes. But the cool thing is that not only can you change the color, but you can go in and create a custom site. So if you don't like these themes of simple Aristotle, diplomat vision with the gamut, right, or any of those colors, you can go in and create a custom. And that's what I did, is I created a custom gallery. I decided that my background color, my header font, all my fonts. I picked all the fonts I wanted to use because I wanted to be in control of what my theme was really like. So my theme now is all defined and it's in there. But if you, for example, say in this one thing, in this one, I want to change it from this name or this font to this font, I can do that here. But in the rest of them, it's not going to change. It's only going to stay here. So if you wanted to call attention to this in some specific way, and you can even, you know, change the font and change the color. So maybe you wanted to make that color, what, bright red, because you wanted to call attention to something in a specific way, then you can do it there for just that one. It does not affect the entire theme. Okay, so I've covered themes, the way to insert pages, and the way to insert items. So I'm sorry, just a moment. Take a breath. Okay, I'm just going to scroll down here. So these are all things over here to the right that you can plug in. And YouTube is one that is a really nice one. So especially if you're creating YouTubes of your work, hold on a second. You can plug in there. So also the very cool thing, so if you set up you set up your Gmail, maybe you want to set up a Gmail specific to your website, and you create a calendar. So if you're someone that does events or activities that you want people to come to, you can put all of that on this calendar to here, and you can insert the calendar, and then all of those things that you have put on the website on your calendar are going to show up in the calendar on your website. So you don't have to go in and edit the calendar on the website. It's already there. You edit your calendar for that email address. And so you say, maybe it's the Fountain House Gallery opening, come, or the closing, come, or I'm going to be there on this day, come and visit me, or this is the workshop I'm doing, come and visit me, or I'm going to be at the street fair, come and visit me. You know, all of those things you can plug into your calendar, and they're going to show on your website without updating it on the website at all. A super, super, really cool feature. If you're doing something at a special place where you want people to go and see it there, you can put in a map and show them exactly where you want them to go. So there's lots of things, forms. So yeah, that's something you can, you know, consider for gathering information, is the use of forms. And table of contents, but I've never used that. And to be honest, I found it a little bit confusing, but I haven't spent a lot of time because I made my sidebar very clear. I've used image carousel. So back when we had the prior Rachel, there was a team of us that were working on creating what a member site, which we now have as the portal, right? In that we created a carousel of images or in an example I created, there was an image of carousel, large carousel. So that's, you put in images and they rotate and rotate and rotate. It's a very cool way to showing off art. So I'm going to jump over here and I'm going to show you my site in the back door of my site. And maybe I'm going to jump here to the front of my site for starters. So there's that background. I like to have my bar as a sidebar instead of going at across the top, where you've seen so many websites with it across the top. I like seeing it down the side, right? I want it here. Because Fountain House Gallery is the most where I am most active. I have that right at the top and I have each of the shows within it, right? And I have them going, back in time. So every time I'm going to be in a new show, it's going to go there. If it's active, it's an active show. I have it outside of previous. And when that show ends, like the Rise, I had it standing as its own tab above previous. And then once it closed, I dropped it right into previous shows. So I'm going to jump all the way back into SmallWorks 2020 and I'll show you. So I have the Fountain House Gallery right at the top, right? So nobody's confused. This is a Fountain House Gallery show set of images. It's not my stuff or my well, it's my work, but it has gone through the Fountain House Gallery, and that's why this is a collection, right? This show is closed. It has here, if you want to purchase my photographs that are still available through Artsy, click here, and it brings you right to the page in Artsy that has these images, right? And if you want to see all of my art, you go here and you click on it. And it brings you to Artsy to see all of my work there. So it gives, I'm sending the viewer, or the buyer, or the patron, giving them the ability to go to and buy any of this work, right? So I went through and showed, all the pieces that I submitted for that show that were in that show. And that was a virtual show. So I think everything that was submitted was accepted that year, right? Because we were virtual, so they could accept everything. So for the Rise show, I laid it out differently. So last year's SmallWorks, I set up the same way. But the Rise show, I set up differently. And I have the logo for the Rise show. So it still has the same topper, right? It's still the same topper. I have the logo for the Rise show. And while it was live, I had this as a link to the active auction site, right? And then here now I have this as a link to the benefit to the show on Artsy. So when you click on this, it goes to the Fountain House Rise page, right? Not my page, the Fountain House page. And then this is one of my pieces. It did sell, so I told it that it sold, but I still want it there to be showing me as an artist, right? And I tell a story, my story about this piece of art, because I want our buyers to start connecting to me and understanding me better as an artist, and especially as it ties to a piece of art. And so you can see this is set up differently, right? We've got the large piece of art at the image at the left, and we've got the piece at the right. And then here I've got the image of the expressing the inner me, and I've got the price, and then it's still, available. All the descriptors, all of that stuff. And when you hit this, it takes you directly to the Artsy page. that has it for sale, right? Let me do that. And it opens up in a new tab. It goes straight to that page, so people can just click on it and purchase it. Makes it super easy for buyers to buy my art, right? So it's still somewhat of a storefront, even though it's not my storefront. It's selling the work through Fountain House, through Artsy, right? So digital. I have a bunch of digital work, and this isn't all of it, but I thought it would be fun to set it up in a YouTube video just to play. You know, I was just playing around to see what I could do, and I liked how it turned out. So I put it on my website so people could see it and see what it looked like. I think you guys have seen it, but I'm not going to watch the whole thing, but I want to show you what that turns out to be like. Right? You can have sound. It is automated, right? It automatically loops, and it goes through some of my artwork. Not all my digital stuff, but some of it. So that was just a fun thing. So I'm going to go over to my exhibition hall. And this right now, I just felt like I wanted to have a way to have some of my art that has either been submitted to the gallery or has been in another show, like Wind in the Sunset was part of a different show, not through Fountain House, but and things that were submitted that were not accepted or not part of a collection. So I have that as an exhibit hall, an exhibition hall. I definitely am going to go back and change this where I put more of an explanation about what size this is, what the medium is, why and how I created it, or my story behind it, right? This piece here, the Caught in the Storm, was part of the Nude as a Landscape piece. I need to tell people that this is part of a Nude as a Landscape and what is there in that image and what, you know, that meant to me. So I need to do the work to go in here and tell people about stuff that these things are, how I created them, and what they mean to me. All right, so there's my backdrop. Yay. And then I have my story. So this story is not the introduction I have, by the way. So you always want to have your story on your website, whether it's for sale or not. And in my exhibition hall, I went too quickly, right? At the bottom, I'm telling people that I am going to open an art shop and it's coming soon. To be honest, that's been there for quite a while and I haven't put it in. Oh, the other thing, I don't know if you guys can see it. Can you see at the bottom? Because I have something covering it up. So I have my Instagram there and I also have my email there. If I click on my email right now, it's going to be like me sending my email to myself. So it doesn't look so cool. But if you were to do it and you would see, you know, it's an automated email that an automated email that I go in and I can respond. But then this is the footer of every single page I have, right? Every single page, even on Tara's story, the bottom, it's on every page, my link to my Instagram account, so that people can come here and see the work that I have on my Instagram account. Now I have way too little there too. So that's something I'd encourage you guys to do, is get busy on your Instagram account. I am definitely going to do that. Okay, so then let's jump into the background. So just like you saw on the other, right, here's the panel on the left and the page here. How are we doing on time? We've got 15 minutes left. So it has, for me, when I can look at it here to see those, but I can also go here and see those. So I can see those and I can change the order. So see, I actually have a page that I have hidden that I can be working on to develop, which I haven't been, so I'm not going to bother. But you can create pages, keep them in hiding, until you're ready to launch them. So that's something to consider. The good news, all right, I'm going to jump around a little bit. I'm going to jump out of Google a second. So one of the things that I use is Ionis. These are the guys that I use for my email and my website. And they, for my email, I pay $1.02 a week for my email account, and they give me my website for free. So I didn't have to pay a website fee, and $1.02 a month. I'm super happy to pay that for having an email, even if people aren't really using the email yet, right? This is what they charge you for a paid site, a paid website, is $1 a month for a year, and then $5 a month.
What
and
is that
then
called again? That web page?
Ionis. And so let me go up to the top. Ionis,
Oh, that's
IONO.
great. That is so nice.
Yeah, so it'll be in the PDF, okay? And it is later in the presentation. But I just wanted to make sure we got to that, because I think Ionis is awesome. And they have lots of templates that you can use if you want to do a paid site, right? If you want to buy a site and do a web store and all that. I think well, I don't think they are the cheapest. I would bet anything they are the cheapest. And after I set up my email and URL, they called me to tell me about their websites and that they have support teams and that's what they have to do, right? They're a business. They need to sell themselves. And I was nice about telling them that I'm doing it myself on Google. They said, no worries. If you want to come to us in the future, you come back to us. I needed some support to get my domain name set up in, I don't think I covered that. Darn it. So you can set up your own domain name in the Google sites. So you have that. I'm going to jump over there right now. So when I'm on my site, so see how it says terrasuesalusso.com? That's my site. I got there by goodness. All right, I'm not going to do that. We don't have time. All right, so I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint. So I'm going to exit and I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint because we don't have time. Okay, so these are the platforms that I found that claim they're free that aren't free. GoDaddy actually has right in their disclaimer that you have to actually get to read that says it's only 7 days. Most of these you have to actually sign up for before you ever find out there's a price. Ionis was the first one I came to that actually showed a price. And I can't remember, I apologize, if Squarespace showed a price or not. But most of these, Wix didn't show any of the examples. You had to log in, set up account right from the beginning in order to even get access. GoDaddy showed a little bits of things, but not their price. I had to go into the disclaimer. Web.com provides no info about prices, but it has lots of pictures that makes it look great and draws you in. But who knows how much it costs, right? It doesn't really have any info about it. Ionis, like I showed you, costs $1 for a year. If you're doing a web store, it also costs, I think, $1 a year, $1 a month for a year. But I think it costs more than $5 a month after that. I can't remember the price. But please go in and explore Ionis. Please go in and explore all of these, right? Squarespace had tons of really nice looking templates. It did not say how much it cost. Brian Green uses, oh, I'm not in, oh goodness, I'm sorry. Brian Green uses Squarespace as part of his, and if we have a chance, which I'm not sure we will, and he said I could tell you guys about his. He paid somebody to create a site, and then he goes up and maintains it. He really likes it, but it is a paid site. He does not sell work on his site, but he does direct to Artsy. So it virtually is working as a paid site for him. Oh, there we go. All right, so I jumped ahead. I always do that. So take a look around, get some inspiration, look at websites. So Brian Green's here, Sarah Fox, hers is the simplest site I've ever seen. It has pictures, but no words, no comments, no way to contact her, nothing.
I can't see the images.
Can you see my, can you see my PowerPoint?
We see you.
You see me. Okay, so, oh yeah, I have to, oh yeah, all right, sorry. Sorry. I
Okay.
had to share screen again. Thank you for someone letting me know. Where we go.
Brian Green.
Yeah, hold on. So are you in, you see the Wix, GoDaddy, Web, Ionis?
Yes.
Okay, so I already talked about all of those. So those are there. And then we've got Brian Green, Sarah Fox, Valerie Vogel. She's got some great pictures. Go in and look at what she's done. She's got a great front page that you access by clicking on her name and the center of it. Her picture fills the entire back page. Not her photograph, but a painting of hers covers the entire back page, the background. And her name is, I think it's her name that's across the front. So you click on it, but it's very out of date. I don't think she's using it. I went in to try to pretend to buy, and we don't have time to do that either. But go in and look at these. What?
Can you click on Brian Green for us to see what it looks like?
Let's get to the end, okay? And if
Okay.
we have time at the end, we'll go in and look at Brian Green's, okay?
Okay.
Because we still have questions too. And
I
you
hear you.
can go in and look at Brian Green's when you get the PDF, okay? And
Okay.
let's see, I have to move this thing. Oh, and Tav Kessler. So he was the professional photographer, videographer, and director that uses Google Sites to show his portfolio in a very in-depth way. He has photographs and videos, YouTube videos, and stills. It's a really very nicely done site, and he's the reason I'm using Google Sites.
Who are we talking about now?
And what's that?
Who are you talking about right now?
Tav Kessler. So on the
Okay.
page, take a look around for inspiration. Tav Kessler is the very bottom one, the very, very last one. Okay, so see what he's done there and see if that really tells you that Google Sites is a site that you want to use, right? There are so many out there, so do your homework and watch this again. We might need to do a storefront training in the future. So wrapping up, I went in to look for storefront examples that artists themselves have art for sale. So other than Valerie, who has her storefront set up that's not live, that's the only one I found. I recently, just this week, did the Milan Art Experience 2022. In the final presentation, that presenter said that every artist should have a website. Every artist should have a website at the very least to show a portfolio and tell their story. But he wanted to impress upon us that that's the way in telling your story about how you make the hook so that buyers come to you to buy, and that ultimately you should be, I shouldn't say should be, can be using your customers or driving your customers to buy, right? The point he made was very clear, is that we need to take responsibility for our own careers as professional artists. We're not playing at this anymore, right? We're part of the Fountain House Gallery. We're showing our work. We are professional artists. We're not playing around. Okay. 5 minutes left. They did say we could have a little bit of extra time off. But I'm going to stop here. And so any questions, guys?
Does your own site on Google Sites show up in search engines like Google?
I don't know that. I think you would have to search for Sue Salusso in order for me to come up. I haven't put in any sort of words that would, I don't remember what they're called either. And that's shame on me for not remembering. But there's words, right? You put in to help get your site when somebody does a search that people will pick up on that. You know,
Hashtag.
that I don't think it's a hashtag, but hashtags can be used to do that.
Search
But
engine optimization.
yeah, well, that is what it is. There's a word, but yeah, when you do search engine optimization, that when well, whatever words you put in there, it's gonna someone does a search, your site is more likely to come up in that search. And I think that's why so many artists that do sell work on their sites did not come up in my search, because so you have to drive people to your site. And I think that's another training in and of itself, and how to drive people to your site. So other questions?
Yeah, I remember the name of the website I was trying to build. It was like Squarespace or something.
Oh, okay, Squarespace.
But
So that's
I was having a lot of trouble because every time I tried to put a picture in or a painting in, it kept talking about the resolution and the size, and it wouldn't accept it, and it wouldn't accept it.
darn it. That makes it tough. So Brian Green, that's what he's using, is Squarespace.
Yeah.
Squarespace.
What do you mean by URL?
URL is the name of your website. So Tara
Same as the
Sue,
domain name?
yeah, the domain name is a URL. Yep,
Oh.
domain name. Yep. Sheila, you have a question?
Yeah, when you talked about paid or free, professionally, is there a difference? I mean, other than just what you prefer or can afford, or what what features you want access to? Does it matter? Like if you're sending somebody to look at your portfolio, or do they look down on you if it's a free site, or can you tell the difference?
They don't even know. No,
So
they
it
don't
doesn't
know
really
if it's.
matter as long as you get what you want.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. So for example, I'm going to have a store in my website, and I hope that we can come back to do a training on how to set up a store and what a store looks like in the future. But they won't know. They won't know it's. They won't know it's.
Will adding that store to the site you already have cost more?
Oh, well, that's probably part of the other training. Is I'm using a company called Edwid. I think that's what it's called, Edwid. I can do 2 sections for free. So they're also a free site. They have a number of things that you can do for free. And as you increase what you want to do, then it increases, it impacts, a price. But
Website doesn't include that. You have to go to an external, or you're just doing
you have to do it, external, but Edwin is set up as to create a storefront that's embedded in another site. It's not set up as a storefront to run as a storefront on its own. So it gives you an embed character, and you go to your Google site, and on Google Sites where it has that section where you insert, one of those was embed. Up beside the Google Sites, it has the little embed icon, and you embed it onto a page. And so then your store shows up in your website. And when people access it, it actually brings them over to Edwin. They don't know they're going to Edwin. It still looks like you're in your store, and you can process to pay. Edwin doesn't have its own payment process, so I had to get another one, and I went with Square so that I can process credit cards, and I also will have it set up with PayPal because I have had PayPal for quite a while. So
So
yeah.
Edwin does not do. Okay, if Google is your portfolio, whatever, Google has your pictures and where the people are, and then you have to have something else to process the credit cards. What is Edwin even doing?
They're the store. So they're the ones that holds all the images of the store, the prices, or the images that for sale, the prices, if you want it, all the features of it, if it's framed or whatever. All the different. That's another training for sure.
That's print
And
to
then
order? Is that
what's that? It's not a print to order, no. I'm not sure. They might have that as a feature. I'm not really sure. I haven't spent very much time in it yet, to be honest. But I have created I have created it as an account, just like Square. I've created it as an account. I can do that for free. So I've set it up. Why not? And then you just embed it into your account. I see there's hi Boulin, I see you there. No problem, Sheila. I see there's a question under Becky.
I'm after her.
Yep, Christine has a question.
Hi, Christine.
Hi.
Hi.
I was just wondering, I don't know if you can see me or not.
I can. I
Okay.
can.
I was just wondering if you've worked at all on the Amazon site, if you sold anything through Amazon, because I was on there recently and discovered that things that are handmade, handcrafted, you can list those for free. And I was just wondering if anybody had used Amazon for that and what the results would have been.
I haven't, but I'm excited. I'll have to go look at it now. Thanks for that info.
Lynn has one more question, and then maybe we'll end it at that because it's a little bit past 5:30. And then other questions you can send to me. I can pass it on.
Sure. Hi, Boulin. What's up?
I've been enjoying your presentation. Thank you very much. Very thorough, very inspiring. My suggestion before my question is maybe be some sort of copyright language on your website, like right up front, like pertaining to the use of your images, that you retain all rights. And the second question that I have is anything that you've suggested, are they taking a percentage? Because Amazon probably takes a percentage, eBay takes a percentage for transactions. Do you know if anything that you've done, if it automatically bills you for the transaction, for any kind of money transaction?
I would estimate that Ewid does, but Edward or Ewid, but I don't recall, so I'll have to follow up with that. I can't imagine that they would do the complete sale for free. But I could be wrong. It may be it. I don't know. Tav said it was for free. So it could be that they're just trying to drive you into the other features that you would pay for. Yeah, at the bottom of mine, I have copyrighted, but I saw that on Brian Green's, he has on the bottom of his that all of his images are copyrighted and he has sole ownership or something to that effect. So that's really good advice for everyone to have, is to include that, that they're copyrighted. And I would recommend, you know, that your images that are online have your signature on it. I've gone back and done that to my photos that are represented on my site for all of the artsy stuff. But I haven't yet done it for my exhibition page. So they should definitely have your signature. And I think Mario had a good way of putting some sort of watermark across the image to show some sort of name, so that even if they downloaded it, it also had the little watermark that showed that, you know, that belonged to someone. And I did something the other day, I was looking at something and it had a watermark for each image. Oh, I was part of the training.
It's called DocuSign. You can go on the internet, look up DocuSign.
DocuSign.
And you, in that watermark, you sign your name and agree that'll be equivalent to your signature, and then wherever you want to, you put that.
Oh, nice. DocuSign.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mario, for that info. So that's great. Yeah. So at the training I was at.
Your sales, are you adding, because you're talking about a transaction, is it automatically adding tax and shipping, or do you have to manually do that before you?
So in eWid, you can go in and have it linked to a shipper so that the shipping calculates on its own. So if you're using FedEx or UPS or US Post Office, it would automatically calculate that. The training I went to said I really recommend you have your shipping for free, because people like to buy stuff where the shipping is for free, right? Like Amazon. I have an Amazon account because I like my shipping free, right? I like my shipping free. So he said, put the price of the shipping in the item, right? Include the shipping price in the item. If it was $25, you make it $30 or $35 or whatever the shipping cost and shipping and handling is, you know, the box you're going to put it in, the stuff you wrap it in, whatever, the time and what effort it takes you to get it to UPS or them to come and get it, you know, if you set up an account so that people come and pick up the work for you, you attribute that into the price of the work so that people feel like they're getting it for free. They like knowing they're getting their work for free. Anyway, that's his advice. That's what I'm going to try to do.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Can you
Lynn.
spell the name of that site so I can look it up? The one
What's
that-
up?
Can you spell the name of that site that you're processing the store site? Yeah.
I think I have it in it'll be in the PDF, hon.
Okay.
It'll be in the PDF and it'll have the link to it, and I'm going to have the link to the other stuff I'm using as well. So yeah, you'll have links to everything in the PDF, okay?
And it'll be on Slack, or where is it?
No, it'll get emailed to you.
Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome. And Judith, let's make that the last question.
Okay. Well, I think we're gonna have to
End it? Okay. So Judith, just let.
Thank you. I just
Oh,
wanted to
okay, great. Thank you. All right. So great. Thank you, everyone.
Sue, thank you so
Thank you.
much.
All right. Thank you, guys. Bye.
Parachute. Thanks a lot.